Bases dropped here on the morning show on the SDH Network. John here, you there. And it's Thursday Thoughts, so whatever's on your mind, we bring to the table. Rundown today, hour number one is catching you up with the news of the morning, going back over last night, what happened with Atlanta United 2 and the matchup against Carolina Core. We'll set the table for what's going to happen this weekend and the matchup at Fort Finley against Chattanooga FC. Each matchup now becoming more and more important after the result that happened last night. We'll go over Leagues Cup with our buddy Niko Moreno in hour number two, kind of talk about it a little bit this morning, and now that we got the table set for everything else there in not Leagues Cup, silly boy, Open Cup, the other one. So Open Cup is finally decided, and it's going to be out west, and we'll find out what's on Niko's mind there. We'll find out what's on Nino's mind as we go fully loaded at 10 o'clock this morning and go through everything. So once again, hour number two, the Nino and Niko show. Hour number one, we'll go through all the news of last night, get you caught up, news of the morning, get you caught up. There's some stuff, obviously, with transfers. There's some stuff with Champions League we've got to get prepared for. All of the things there. There's news against Chelsea. I know that might surprise some of you. Morning Kefsi. And we'll go over all of that as we get you ready for Premier League as well. Okay, so I have Nino's notes, and he's going to talk about Crew. He's going to talk about Sudamericana. He's going to talk about Libertadores, talking about Sporting in Portugal from his time at Gold TV, and then obviously the news about the Uruguayan player who passed away having the heart attack on the pitch. We'll get into that. There's call-ups. There's folks who are retiring from play internationally with England, so there's a lot to discuss when Nino joins us at 10 o'clock. So it'll be kind of rapid-fire fully loaded when he drops by to start us off with hour number two. So that's the rundown. There's a lot there. Whatever's on your mind, drop it in the Twitch pitch, drop it in the conversations, however you're accessing us, if it's on the YouTubes, if it's on the Twitch, if it's on the 280-character app. We'll get into it all here in hour number one, get you ready for hour number two, where we kind of focus with dudes about stuff. And we ought to put that on a T-shirt. Focus with dudes about stuff. That needs to be real specific. All right. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on any of the platforms that we have available for you on social media, specifically the YouTubes, the Twitch, or the 280-character app. You hit that QR code, and you go into Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Then use the code soccer down here 15 at checkout. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvest it in youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay, opening kickoff. Chelsea is getting ready to play Servette, and that takes a lot of it takes a lot of learning to try to figure out where a lot of these folks are. So it's kind of fun to do the search for what to look for, where these teams are, where they're playing, what the juice boxes are, that kind of thing. So Chelsea is playing in a Conference League playoff. That's where they are after last season. They're in the Conference League, and they're in the Conference League playoff. That's where Chelsea is right now. Enzo Maresca, and it's a team in Switzerland, by the way. That's who Servette is. So you go to the Telegraph, and you always have your MD -1s, your MD -2s, your match day minus whatever day press conference. Enzo Maresca has expressed concern at the state of the Stade de Genève pitch ahead of the UEFA Conference League meeting with Servette on Thursday night. And since this is Jared, I'll bring Jared in for this. Okay.
What the hell did I do now?
No. Your timing is somewhat impeccable for opening kickoff. I was discussing Chelsea playing Servette in Switzerland and Enzo Maresca, and I was explaining, how head coaches, they always have like their MD -1, their MD -2, those kinds of things. The match day minus press conferences. So Enzo Maresca has expressed a concern about the state of the pitch at the Stade de Genève ahead of their Conference League meeting. It would be afternoon our time, evening in Switzerland. Paragraph. A fungal infection has affected areas of the playing surface, leaving bare patches that have recently been reseeded. Those areas will be painted green in an attempt to disguise the problem when Switzerland hosts Spain at the stadium in a Nations League clash on September 8th. However, see now, when you write in a however in an article, I can't let that go. I have to. When you write a however.
Oh, just drop it.
That's why I got to find it. One more time. However, ahead of Thursday night's meeting, Maresca warned his side must adapt quickly to conditions or risk losing the 2-0 advantage they hold from the first leg meeting at Stamford Bridge. Quoting Maresca, I saw the pitch now. It doesn't look a good pitch. We need to adapt. Otherwise, we will struggle, end quote. I can say that it is not a mad club because since I joined the club, the team is working in one direction. And then he discussed the idea of the Sterling for Sancho trade. But apparently, there is a fungal infection on the playing surface at the Stade de Genève. Boy, is that going to make for interesting pictures.
The Stade de Genève basically got the Last of Us field edition, turf management edition of the Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all. Thank God you don't ever have to play in CONCACAF Champions League.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So many of you in Europe with your soft, lotioned baby hands would be in absolute hell if you had to go play a game at Alajuelense.
Yes.
If you had to haul your ass down to Herediano
and play on that welcome mat that's got ridges on it.
That is the field Herediano is basically the putting greens from Mount Asia up in Kennesaw repurposed.
Yes.
Y'all would be in, they've created a new circle of hell for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Welcome to tournament soccer.
This also does raise the question of, the eternal question of, is where does turf versus grass rank? Where does bad turf versus basically non-existent grass rank?
Mm-hmm.
How do they stack up?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the question. I can sit here and answer it as a pleb who can barely function on a field without falling over my own 2 feet. It'd be a question I'd be more willing to ask people who do it for a living.
Yes.
But
however,
you people are not built for the slum-in-it life.
Mm-mm.
I need y'all to go down to Central America or the Caribbean.
Yeah, dial it up for a second. Going down to Central America.
Go down to Trinidad and play on a repurposed cricket pitch.
Oh,
where you got dudes giving each other piggyback rides to get over the river that's been created from the rainstorms.
Yes.
You got to ford the river and hope that Michael Bradley doesn't tip over halfway across and wash away with 20 pounds of meat and 2 of your oxen.
Yeah, don't pay the ferryman. You got that one.
I don't pay the ferryman, man. I risk it.
Uh-huh.
We got a river coming up. Hell, I'm loading up on supplies. We're getting a couple extra oxen. I got some extra bullets. I got some extra food because we are caulking the wagon. We are fording this shit.
And before we get out of opening kickoff, since we're on Chelsea, and KFC, by the way, is en route to Liverpool via Dublin tonight, joining the Toffees Saturday for one of the possible few results this season. So KFC is overseas hanging out with us this morning. Mazel tov, KFC. Please be safe and enjoy. When Martin Ziegler has a byline from our friends at the Times, not necessarily something that you want, especially when your team is tagged to it. Headline: Chelsea face more than challenging bid to meet UEFA's financial rules. Color me shocked. Beat 234.
Well, they signed 75 players. They probably signed 3 more since we started the show.
Correct. We'll get into that. The Premier League side's in a difficult position after the European governing body confirmed it does not allow clubs to register income from selling assets like its two hotels to sister companies. So basically, UEFA is allegedly, possibly, probably dropping the hammer on shifting assets sideways. Because
because it's shady and practically illegal business work.
yes,
You're trying to disguise. You're shifting money around. Internal companies trying to disguise it as profit.
Mm-hmm.
We call that fraud.
Yes. So the Premier League is yet to close the loopholes that have allowed Chelsea to register the sale of two hotels to a sister company for £76.5 million and to sell the women's team to the club's parent company. However, UEFA confirmed that its rules did not allow for clubs to register income from selling assets to sister companies, but stressed that all cases would have to be assessed individually by its independent panel. Such transactions also banned by EFL for clubs in the Championship, League One, and League Two. So it's still cool if you're outside the EFL and you can do it in the Prem. But if you're, say, something vertically integrated in the Championship or below, you can't do that. Any sanction or settlement for a breach of UEFA's financial rules would not affect Chelsea in this season's Conference League, but would be applied before next season. The club financial control board has a range of sanctions at its discretion, ranging from a warning or fine up to excluding a club from European competition. In 2018, AC Milan, Nick would remember this. In 2018, AC Milan agreed a settlement with UEFA to serve a one-year ban from European football, but that was for several breaches of FFP. Chelsea's UEFA challenges are also greater because the European body has stricter rules than the Premier League in terms of the amount the clubs can lose. Under the new football earnings rule, which has replaced UEFA's FFP system, clubs in Europe this season will be allowed to have lost a maximum of €40 million or £34.5 million over 2 seasons. The Premier League allows for 105 over 3. UEFA only allows 34.5 over 2. So there's a bit of a difference. So Kieran Maguire, who's your go-to quote, a football finance author, says this could apply if the women's team has been sold to another part of the Bowley Clear Lake. UEFA FFP not as flexible. Chelsea been approached for comment, but Todd Bowley stated in the club's most recent accounts published in April that they expect to comply with UEFA's rules. Paragraph, Chelsea made an almost £90 million loss in 22-23, had no Champions League income after having earned $81 million from Europe the year before, spending heavily. I know that's shocking. So in June last year, UEFA closed an amortization loophole that allowed clubs to spread the cost of a transfer fee over the length of the player's contract. And that's when you got to see like Mudryk on an 8-year deal for 64. Then you could spread it out over the whole thing and go 8 by 8. UEFA then slammed that door and said, okay, you can only do it over 5. Doesn't matter what the length of the deal is. So Chelsea's £115 million fee for signing Moises Caicedo is now only for 5 instead of the 8. So Martin Ziegler at the Times, Bowley Clear Lake in the crosshairs, color me shocked. So there you go. Kefsey says they're still paying Carlos Tevez, Didier Drogba, Fernando Torres, and who knows who else, I'm sure.
Probably still paying. They're probably somehow got wrangled into paying Bobby Bonilla.
Yes. Yeah, the Mets. Oh crap! Who was the freaking
offloaded their Bobby Bonilla debt to Chelsea?
Yes. Who's the damn owner that was the Ponzi scheme that I can't think of off the top of
Wilpon?
Thank you. So yeah, the owner of the Mets is hanging out with Bowley Clear Lake. Hey, how did you guys do this? Well, we did it this way. Hey, that sounds good. Well, here, take Bobby Bonilla off my hands. You get a stake in the Mets. And so the Mets will sign everybody in spring training as a result of all of this.
The Mets actually were pretty. It was in baseball down here.
Mm-hmm.
Because last year at the deadline, they did a sell-off because it just wasn't working. They had a very old roster, and they did a sell-off.
Oh, Bernie Madoff is who I was thinking of.
Well, Wilpon owned the Mets, but
yes.
Madoff was the guy who did the Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, Wilpon and Katz, right?
So the Mets actually blew up a lot of that roster and were pretty disciplined about things. Like they brought back some guys. They brought back some guys on good deals and kind of positioned themselves to be in better financial shape for the future. I was impressed that they showed that level of financial discipline for a club that has that much money to spend. That's all the nice things I'll say about the Mets this morning.
Yes, there you go. So that's opening kickoff. Fun with Chelsea is opening kickoff today, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching. However, you're watching us this morning, whether it is in Europe, like Kefsi, on the YouTubes, on the Twitch, or on the 280-character app. Don't forget, use that QR code. You go in, use the code Soccer Down Here 15 at checkout. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvested into things that they think are cool. Youth initiatives, youth programs, etc. Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, speaking of QR codes, our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps, over 30 years of experience. If you're looking for a new career in nursing, or if you're looking for a new career in nursing, hit that QR code from our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps, and your next steps in the nursing community are there for you right now. When they ask how you heard about Alliance Nurse Corps, you go SDH, yo. Maybe say Soccer Down Here just in its full form, because I don't know if they would sit there and go SDH, yo, and try to chase and go, who are these people? You go Soccer Down Here. Helps us out, helps out Alliance Nurse Corps, and once again, your career is off and running in nursing. Okay, so Jarrett's ducking in and out. So Jarrett was here for opening kickoff, and now he's out the door. So let's go over what happened last night with the twos here on the network. Once again, the matchup has become even more and more important because you had that match in hand. You had two matches in hand with folks above you in the standings last night, and it was a long night for Atlanta United 2 at Carolina Core at Truist Point in High Point, North Carolina. 4-1 loss. Let's go over the highlights, and then we'll go over how things stack in MLS Next Pro going forward. So here's your first half highlights. Once again, some guy named Jason on the call here on the SDH Network as Atlanta United 2 went on the road for a big matchup in the Eastern Conference in MLS Next Pro.
Corner delivered to the penalty spot, headed on and in. Goal, straight out of the gate for Carolina Core. Facundo Canete, his sixth goal of the season, and his third goal in about 7 minutes of play. He scored twice late to win the match against FC Cincinnati 2, and he picks up where he left off with an uncontested header from 12 yards. Power behind that from Canete. And the 24-year-old gives Carolina an early, and I mean early, lead at home. Up the right side for Aiden Torres. A great ball from Efrain Morales. Torres attacking third down the right. He'll cut it inside to Gallardo. Left-footed cross. Back post caught by Sutton. It's a good ball from Matias Gallardo. But Alex Sutton read that one like a nice book. Stepped out and caught it at the top of his own 6. Atlanta, here they come after the turnover. Firmino, Gallardo, top of the 18. Curler, high and wide. Gallardo had the opportunity to make it 1-1. Head in hands in disbelief that didn't ripple the net. Gallardo, Dudley, goal! Atlanta United 2. Out of the air, it's the big man, Ethan Dudley, with the left foot. Matias Gallardo once again puts it on a platter off the set piece. Dudley comes across and full volley for the big center back. Canete tries to bring it down. Dudley takes it away. Juarez now. Cross looking for Evans. Headed down by Morales. Polanco slams it home. Goal. Carolina Core. That quick they restore their lead.
That's your first half. And so with the 2-1 lead, then Efrain Morales picks up a second yellow card toward the end of the first half. And Atlanta United 2 is forced to play the rest of the match with 10. So it was, you're going for it at this point. Obviously, you need full points, and you've got some work to do. So here's the second half and how things wrapped up in High Point, North Carolina against Carolina Core once again here on the SDH Network last night. And Jason on the call.
Squared inside. Canete through to Evans. Evans Pulls it back, spins around Armas, drives at the near post, and it's saved by Hibbert. Jacob Evans stayed on his feet that time and nearly beat Jaden Hibbert. He made the save at the near post. Left hand in the air. He doesn't go into the 18 this time. He plays it back to Diaz, back to Evans. Now he loops it to the back post. Headed back across. Covey header. Easy catch for Hibbert. Canete. Back out wide to Diaz. Diaz slips a pass through for Evans. Evans will cut it back to the penalty spot. Canete, goal, goal, goal. Another header. Another one from Canete. Another bit of service from Evans, this time from the run of play. And I don't have to tell you, the header was from right around the penalty spot again. 3-1 Carolina Core. Sutton. Herlock comes across, nearly blocks it. Armas knocks it down. Firmino. Carlton, 25 yards from goal. Right-footed shot pulled wide to the left post. Goal kick. Atlanta wants to turn and go with Gajardo. Gajardo down the right side for Herlock. Herlock going to hit the Jets into the 18 with a low-angle shot over the bar. Goal kick. Evans takes a touch forward, top of the 18. Evans into the 18. Evans, shot, score. Goal, 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 Carolina Core. Evans stays on his feet and puts it in the back of the net. 4-1 Carolina.
And that would be your final 4-1 as Carolina Core picks up a big 3 points. Coming into the match last night, both Carolina Core and Atlanta United 2 had 2 matches in hand on Chattanooga FC, who is currently in the 8th spot. And now the mission gets just a little bit rougher for Atlanta United 2, trying to chase after that number 8 spot, because right now they are three wins behind with only a match in hand. And so that's where you are right now. With Atlanta United 2, 26 points, Carolina Core is now at 31 after the match last night. And so once again, still a match in hand with Chattanooga FC, who's currently at the 8 at 35 points. But now you've got to climb over Carolina Core, you got to climb over Red Bulls 2, and you got to climb over Orlando City B to get to Chattanooga FC. And so it pretty much makes the matchup this Sunday night at Fort Finley a must-win for Atlanta United 2 to stay in the playoff hunt in the Eastern Conference. So right now in the Eastern Conference, Cincinnati, FC Cincinnati 2, Philadelphia Union 2, both at 43 points. Cincinnati has a match in hand. They have one more win. Crew 2 right now, they're at 40 points. NYCFC 2, after their dismantling of Orlando City B last night on top of the parking deck at St. John's at Belson Stadium. And that match got out of hand late, where you had a lot of pushing, a lot of shoving, and it was at 90 plus where NYCFC 2 scored twice to distance themselves. And once again, you're looking at wins and goal difference as a couple of tiebreakers down the line. So NYCFC 2 put some numbers on the board and put up some markers. Right now, they're 4th at 39 points in the Eastern Conference. They have one, if not 2 matches in hand on the folks that are above them in the standings. Crown Legacy's 5th at 37 points. Messi and Friends 2 at 36, 2 more wins than Chicago Fire 2, and then Chattanooga FC at 35 points once again. They are at the 8. OCB's at 34, Red Bulls at 33, Carolina Core at 31, Atlanta United 2 at 26, Toronto FC 2 is chasing at 25, Huntsville City Football Club also chasing at 23, and New England Revolution 2 eliminated from the playoffs, 17 points in 22 matches. Their season's done in chasing playoffs at 4-15, 3-2. Remember that 4th column is your shootout wins where you get the extra point at the end of the day. 0-11-1 on the road for the Revs. Last night so the Western Conference, we'll get into last night in a sec. North Texas at 46 points, leading all caps 2 by 3. They're at 43. Ventura County's at 40. LAFC 2 is at 39. Tacoma Defiance at 36. 1 more win than Whitecaps 2. 2 more wins than the Town. Houston is right now in the 8th spot at 32 points. Dynamo Dos, 2 more wins than Timbers 2. Austin FC 2. Los Verdos is at 31 points. Sporting Kansas City 2 is at 28. Real Monarchs at 25. Colorado Rapids 2 is at 22. And Minnesota United FC 2 not out of the picture yet. They are at 13 points behind the 8th seed after 22 matches. So they've got 3 points of wiggle room. Technically 4, but 3 points of wiggle room with the matches they have left in the season. and they've got 19 points, giving up 57 goals, by far the most porous defense in MLS Next Pro. Red Bulls 2 are at 53. So last night, in addition to what happened on top of the parking deck at St. John's, where NYCFC 2 won 5-2, Carolina Core won 4-1, Austin got the win. It was 1-1 after like 13 minutes. Both teams had put a marker on the board. Austin FC2 gets the other goal, so they get full points, and they get the win last night. Tomorrow, action in the West, LAFC2 and Tacoma Defiance, and then a couple of matches on Saturday. Reminder once again, busy Sunday in MLS Next Pro. We will all be there, and I think we all are going to be at Fort Finley for the matchup with Chattanooga FC and Atlanta United 2. Pre-game at 6:30. Kickoff 7:03. The game's going to be on MLS Season Pass. Jason will be there. Maddie will be there. I'll be there. I think Jarrett might even be there as well. So very important Sunday night for Atlanta United 2 at Fort Finley going up against Chattanooga FC. We'll have that for you on the network, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. And so that will be that'll be a big matchup for the twos coming up in the weekend. Okay, so KFC, talented homegrowns with the twos. Hopefully they can climb just a little higher next year. That's, you got 16 and 17-year-old kids who are doing really well in the growth of their games, blending with guys like Noble Okello, Javi Armas, Kareem Tamimi, Nick Firmino. And so once again, center back and left back and even right back with Aiden Torres is once again, that development is there with Atlanta United 2 continuing to do so. And Ethan Dudley, can't say enough about Ethan Dudley getting the goal last night, his first for the twos and his first goal as a professional. So really cool moment for him off of the corner from Matias Gajardo. So that's where the twos are right now. And speaking of Atlanta United, if you haven't had the chance, go to the Off the Woodwork podcast, 92.9 The Game, in the Odyssey app. The conversation that Jason had with Garth Lagerwey and Dimitrios Devstasiou about the front office in Atlanta United and their philosophies and approach and everything. It's a really good in-depth conversation. Jason will be on with us about 10:30 tomorrow morning as we get ready for Atlanta United and Charlotte FC. And we'll talk to Jason about that interview, play a little bit of it for you, and remind you that, go listen. Take some time when you're in the car and go listen to the interview with Garth and Demetrius. Really good deep dive into a front office and the window and all those kinds of things. So Odyssey app, 92.9 The Game, Off the Woodwork podcast. It's the conversation that Jason had with Garth and Dimitrios Devstasiou in the front office. So really good in-depth conversation to where we kind of got to find out how front offices tick, or at least one front office. And so we'll talk to Jason about that conversation and about For the Crown and about the matchup and about all that tomorrow. It should be about 10:30 as he's getting ready to see the walkthrough as they get ready for Atlanta and Charlotte. Okay, news of the morning, and there's plenty of it. Yes, Kefsey listened to it while flying. Yeah, thanks. Oh, Kefsey, please have fun, take pictures, and share stories. Come back with great stories, please. Please. And if you find a scarf, like a match day scarf, let me know. I'll Venmo you the money, and then we'll probably buzz past each other at MBS, and you can throw it at me, like when you're coming in or you're leaving or something. If you find a match day scarf, let me know how much it was. I'll Venmo you. And I can add it here to Office HD. We'll do that. All right. So a lot of news this morning, getting into what is the end of the transfer window, getting ready for Big Ben and the Chimes and all that kind of stuff. So here's the rundown. A lot of it's from our friend Ben Jacobs, and we'll go through the papers and get you ready for the rest of the day. Remember, Champions League draw is later today, and it's now the 8 games, 4 at home, 4 away, more than teams you had in the past. One group instead of all the different groups. So larger tournament. We'll get into the specifics in a sec. Okay, so here's the deal. Andre de Wolves from Fluminense now agreed. The final fee is €22 million plus 3. Flying tomorrow with the medical on deadline day. England had call-ups. Noni Madueke got his first senior call-up in Lee Carsley's first squad as interim coach. Also, Angel Gomez got his first call-up as well. Liverpool have confirmed Chiesa from Juve, 13 plus 3. And these are in euro unless they tell me pounds, and then I have to convert it. Add-ons contingent on Liverpool winning the Premier League and Champions League. Chiesa has signed a 4-year deal. Next time that Nick is with us, we will discuss Chiesa moving for 13 plus 3 and what that means on the outbound from Serie A. Dean Henderson, by the way, picked up by Southampton for £25 million. So Chiesa moves from Juve to Liverpool for 13 plus 3. Dean Henderson moves to Southampton for £25 million. What does that tell you about inbounds, outbounds, and dealing with your own? So Chiesa, when Richard Hughes called me and said, do you want to join Liverpool? Coach called me. I said yes immediately. So Chiesa, 13 plus 3. Man. Tino Livramento also called up for the first time. Levi Colwill, Jack Grealish also called up for the squad for England. Also on the board, Newcastle still struggling to agree on a deal for Mark Gahey with Crystal Palace, who is now asking for more than 65 plus 5. The price has gone up as we've gotten closer and closer to the window closing. Initially, Newcastle was like, how about 45 and 5? Crystal Palace is like, nah. 50 plus 5? 55 plus 5? 60 plus 5. That's where I thought we were. But now apparently it's more than that. So Crystal Palace keeps moving the bar. Newcastle, I don't know if they're going to chase after Mark Gahey continuing with this now that it seems to be more than 65 plus 5. Wesley Fofana called up for the France squad for the Nations League matches. Could get his second cap. Keepers, Areola, Maignan, Samba. Defense, Klaus, Fofana, Hernandez, Konate, Koundé, Mendy, Saliba, and Upamecano. Midfielders, Fofana, Conte, Kone, Tchouameni, Zaire Emery. And forwards, Barcola, Dembele, Griezmann, Kolomouani, Mbappe, Olise, and Marcus Thuram. Kingsley Coman could still leave Bayern in the final hours of the window. Offered to Arsenal and Barca. Bayern keen to get Coman off the wage bill. Al Hilal have also made a bid. Coman yet to agree to terms. Still has 3 years left on his Bayern deal. Napoli expect Chelsea to make a permanent bid, meaning a loan plus an obligation or a fixed fee if the price drops, for Victor Osimhen if they can agree to terms with the forward. Serie A club was informed a few days ago Chelsea are willing to proceed using a non-temporary formula, whatever the blue hell that means. Strict terms and a stronger position than PSG, and Chelsea currently in active talks, having discussed a loan earlier in the month. Ben sometimes uses terms, and I go, what the hell is he talking about? Al Ahly is going to hold face-to-face talks with the Osimhen camp after presenting a 4-year deal worth around €30 million a season. Osimhen wants a market value release clause valid from the summer of 25. Al Ahly is open to it, which they hope will strengthen their chances. No amount finalized yet. You know what Chelsea's bringing to the table. Hey, we'll pay you a boatload of money. We'll pay you a boatload of money to get you here, and we'll pay you a boatload of money when you get here. It's sharper image. It really is. Burnley have confirmed Jadon Anthony joined from Bournemouth, loan with £10 million obligation to buy triggered by promotion to the Premier League. Once again, that's the Burnley medical. Andre, we talked about 22 and 3 with that going on. Fulham. Now, this was interesting. Yesterday, Fulham among the clubs who could consider a late window approach for Miggy. Newcastle have already rejected an offer from Charlotte now that the window's closed. You know, he's under contract, so nothing's going to happen with Major League Soccer. The Paraguayan could be available for £15 million. And according to Ben, that was the ballpark figure that was quoted to Charlotte. It was probably more like 20. So, 15 to 20, somewhere in there. Mark Albrighton's retired from football at the age of 34 after about 450 appearances in total. And so that is all the news that's fit to print from our buddy Ben Jacobs. Also on the board, Manchester United open to talks over a Sterling deal. Once again, discussing the swap with Chelsea that would take Jadon Sancho to Stamford Bridge. Noni Madueke apparently has now apologized for calling Wolverhampton-ish after scoring a Chelsea hat trick. So why you calling folks ish? Why you doing that? Seriously. Why? Why you want to call other teams ish? I mean, I guess you're kind of, feeling it at the moment. But then you're like, they were ish. Like I said, we mentioned Chiesa in the transfer news. That seems to have been taking up a lot of the transfer news in and of itself. Sancho is holding out for Chelsea. The situation is open. Raheem Sterling, by the way, if you're going to swap, Sterling makes £325,000 a week, 3 years left on the deal. And so Chelsea drawn up contingency plans monitoring Ivan Toney, Jean Duran, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Maresca's looking to sign a center back if they can get rid of Chalobah or Axel Disasi. Contact has been made with Benfica over Tomas Araujo. The 22-year-old center back seen by PSG as a potential replacement for Milan Skriniar, but Benfica are determined not to be forced into a sale. Also, against Servette, no Reece James, no Malo Gusto, no Romeo Lavia, no Joao Felix, and no Pedro Neto. So, should be an interesting night on the surface. That is, what was it? It's got a fungal problem. As a fungal issue. Man, just a fungal issue in general. But of course, when you have a pitch in conference league that is a problem, it's got a fungal problem. That's just nasty. Daniel Jebison currently having a medical at Watford ahead of a season-long loan from Bournemouth. And let's see. Brighton midfielder Malik Yalkuye has joined Sturm Graz on a season-long loan. Aaron Hickey expected to miss most of the season due to a hamstring injury at Brentford. And let's see, we mentioned the Chiesa deal. Did you see the Marco Materazzi pictures of Los Angeles on his Instagram? Nick brought this to the fore. Materazzi posting pictures of L.A. and the beaches. See you soon, L.A. What does that mean? Quoting Keith Downey over at Sky, no real surprise. Newcastle set to walk away from the Gahey negotiation as they're tired of dealing with Palace. Once again, as they keep moving the bar. Gahey's got 2 years left on his deal. Celtic have knocked back approaches from clubs in the Bundesliga and Ligue 1 for winger Louis Palma, joined from Aris last year for £3.5 million. Leeds in talks over a deal for a fullback from lower divisions. Let's see. Also, Chelsea has spent in this window. £220 million. Brighton has spent 192. Manchester United 155, Spurs 134, West Ham 133. Everybody else is kind of in that zone. But Chelsea, shocking no one, £220 million of spending, $105 million on forwards and wingers, $61 million on midfielders. The rest, and it includes potential add-ons. West Ham open to offers for Aguirre, Cornet, and even James Ward-Prowse. Kurt Zuma once again close to a move to Al Aruba from West Ham. I've never heard of them. Salzburg favorites to sign Stefan Bajcetic from Liverpool on a loan. Interest from Barca, but it appears the 19-year-old is going to make a season-long switch to Salzburg. Billy Gilmore looks to stay at Brighton in the window. Napoli been trying to do a deal for him. But the injury to Matt O'Reilly has complicated matters. Remember, O'Reilly was injured 6 minutes into the Gummy Bear Cup competition, his first minutes with Brighton. Nasty tackle. O'Reilly out. Fabian Herzler was losing his mind, rightfully so, on the touchline. No real backup from any of the teammates for O'Reilly after the tackle. O'Reilly's facing a lengthy spell, ankle ligament surgery. So O'Reilly, a lot of money spent on him. 6 minutes worth of work, nasty tackle in Gummy Bear Cup, and now he's got surgery. So that ain't good. Scott McTominay swarmed at the Naples airport. When has that ever happened? 25 and a third million pound move, 25.3 million pound move for Manchester United. Napoli Medical today. But yeah, what does it say? Aaron Ramsdale, 25 million. Transfer from Arsenal to Southampton. Southampton willing to pay 25 million pounds in league to bring in Aaron Ramsdale. Kieran Trippier, this was a surprise this morning before the show started. Kieran Trippier retired from international football 54 times. European Championship finals 21 and 24, as well as the 2018 World Cup semi. Kieran Trippier is retiring from international football. Neil Maupay looks like he's going to join Marseille from Everton in a deal worth £6 million. 28-year-old was the subject of verbal abuse from Everton supporters at the London Euston train station following their 4-0 loss at Spurs. Responded on the 280-character app by saying, imagine another job where it's normalized to get abuse like this. Hanging around at a train station to scream at men who are trying their best. So it looks like Maupay might be heading to Marseille. Maupay, Marseille. Marseille, Maupay. Say that 10 times fast. €4 million fee, as they were only accepting a permanent move. Maupay agreed to terms a couple days ago. Liverpool loan offers for Ben Doak. Let's see. Willian has revealed he's looking for a new club after leaving Fulham. 36-year-old left Craven Cottage at the end of the contract in the summer, made up his mind to quit Fulham at the start of 24. So he's out on the market. Raheem Sterling and other players, according to Maresca, are not going to be getting minutes. And I know a lot of folks are sitting there going, what did they spend money on? Let's see. So we mentioned Real Salzburg, Ramsdale and his medical. We mentioned Maupay, Grealish and Ndweki, and Chiesa. So that's all the news from our friends at The Athletic and their insiders column. Like I said, I'm buzzing through all of the sources that we've got, and I'm trying to put a bow on everything. Santi Jimenez and Nottingham Forest, that deal. Once again, he's already informed Forest the decision is not to go and play there. Forest was going to pay Feyenoord $30 million. Jimenez is like, nope, not going. Wants to stay at Feyenoord another 6 months, to do well in the Champions League, and then wait for bigger names in the market. So he's going to wait for bigger names than Nottingham Forest. He doesn't have to deal with the chaos or the owner, Mavropanos. So that is another element that's there. We mentioned the call-ups and all of the other stuff going on. Gummy Bear Cup yesterday. Apparently, Nottingham Forest, Taiwo Iwani, visibly distraught after a miss, sent Nottingham Forest crashing out of the Gummy Bear Cup. And Arsenal, Iwani distraught after missing his penalty shootout in the defeat to Newcastle. So Newcastle advanced in penalties. And so folks were not pleased and absolutely just gobsmacked, dumbstruck, whatever word you want to use, that Nottingham Forest is out of the Gummy Bear Cup, or at least they were knocked out because of a shocking miss in penalties yesterday. And by the way, much like our buddy Arne Anderson, much like our buddy Arne Anderson. Now I have to do this as a member of the Don's Trust.
I want to say I told you so. I don't want to blow our own horn, but toot, toot. We are still recipients and owners of all the trophies.
Well, we're close anyway. Our AFC Wimbledon getting the win against Ipswich in penalties yesterday. Advances, I tell you, in the Gummy Bear Cup. Lowest division team to win yesterday. And quite happy and pleased that actually did in fact happen yesterday. And to be able to see it, legitimately to be able to see the matchup of Ipswich and AFC Wimbledon. God bless you, Paramount Plus. God bless you, Paramount Plus. And so, yesterday, Wolves win. Wimbledon wins 4-2 on penalties. Southampton beat Cardiff. Brentford winner. Wickham winner. West Ham winner. Forest beating Newcastle in penalties. So Forest wins, and they win at 4-3 in penalties. And so you got that. In the UEFA qualifying, Dinamo Zagreb won yesterday. They advanced. Red Star won in the aggregate. Slovan Bratislava won in the aggregate. Lille won in the aggregate. And I know that I wanted to get into the guidelines of what's going on in the draw. So remember, this is the Swiss model. The draw is going to be in Monte Carlo. Must be nice when you can get it. According to Nick Ames at The Guardian, some say UEFA's format gamble offers more excitement. Others feel it serves the interest of the Super League rebels. And you want to talk about folks that are hot. They had the draw yesterday for the next round of the Gummy Bear Cup, and they keep all of the heavyweights away from playing each other in that round. And so literally they're setting up most of them who get to play at home against the lower division competition. They don't play each other, and they're waiting to find out who advances and who goes where before the layout is. So Gummy Bear Cup didn't win any friends yesterday either. So once again, a single 36-team league table. 8 matches, 8 different opponents, 4 home, 4 away. Swiss model shakes down to a top 8 who qualify directly to the knockouts, 16 contesting in a playoff round. So basically 24 of the 36 move on. The 16 that are not the top 8, so 9 through 24, play each other. Those winners join the 8 that advanced off the top 8. Teams finishing 25 through 36 eliminated when the league phase concludes in January. Round of 16 gets you to a May final in Munich, bracketed so the clubs can plot their path. Discussions have been carried out for a couple of years. Original version with 2 places reserved for teams based on historical performance. Sounds very Super League-ish. Scrapped in 22. Guaranteed 2 matches against teams from their own pot. You get the big teams going up against big teams, maybe potential drawbacks. 144 games to eliminate 12 teams. When you have a lot more money in play, that's why you would do something like this. Replaces the old-fashioned method based purely on picking balls from bowls. Each team drawn out by hand before software designer AE Live, who designed the technology, selects the 8 opponents. No club can play another team from their own domestic league or play more than 2 games against sides from a particular country. Fixture list will not be published until Saturday. But did you see that apparently there are concerns about the draw? And what I mean by that is that, we mentioned the group that is in charge of the computer drafting and the computer lining up of everything. They feel that they had to do some extra protecting going up against possible cyber hacks from Russia. I'm not kidding. They were concerned about cyber hacks from Russia. Charlotte Dunker at the Times. AE Live says it's put additional security measures in place to ensure the new automated draw will cope with interference. Champions League draw undertaken by ambassadors CR39 and Gigi Buffon. We mentioned the layout. So the fixtures decided by the computer system rather than you picking balls out of bowls. And so, of course, opens up the possibility of a Russian cyber attack, which was put to Dave Gill, Chief Technology Officer at AE Live. He admitted it had been considered, but that they know it will be secure. Confident that they've taken all the necessary steps to ensure the software will be safe for the 3 draws, Champions League, Europa, and Conference, which will take place afternoon Thursday, our time, Friday afternoon, Friday morning, our time. Gill says, clearly it's a sensitive issue, reluctant to go into details about what we're doing, but I can assure you we've taken all the steps we can to make sure it's as safe and as secure as possible. Gill revealed his company had experienced a supply chain attack when working for FIFA around the World Cup draw for Qatar, a couple months after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Awarded the contract back in September of 23. So AE Live is bracing and protecting against a possible cyber attack. You like apples? Man. Pep Guardiola, by the way, gifted every member of City's first team staff, about 60 to 70 folks, $10,000. Good on you. Good work by you. Very cool. Very, very cool from Pep Guardiola. Let's see. Last night, getting into the other stuff, it was a win for LAFC, 1-0 in Open Cup. So LAFC will host Sporting Kansas City in the final for U.S. Open Cup next month, in about a little under a month's time. So like I said, we'll talk to Niko about that coming up at 10:30, because it was at Starfire last night. And it was a surface that is 5 yards smaller than you would play at Lumen. Crowd obviously right on top of you. Goalless at the break, goal in the second half. LAFC advances. And speaking of LAFC, you end up with Christian Oliveira, and the deal to Toluca for $8 million is off. LAFC was like, well, we can't quite find a suitable replacement, so the deal's off. Thanks for hanging out with us. So you've got that deal off the table. And yesterday, you'll remember that we talked to Marion Crowder about USL Super League and the matchup this weekend that was supposed to happen at Maimonides Park, the unveiling of Brooklyn FC. Yesterday, they announced that the game is postponed against Carolina Ascent that was set for this weekend. Here's how they phrased it. During the installation of the soccer turf at Maimonides Park, the league and Brooklyn FC identified deficiencies that have rendered the field surface unplayable. The health and safety of our players, staff, and fans is our top priority. This decision reflects our commitment to their well-being. The match will be rescheduled at a later date. Glad that they found this before people started heading north. So the Super League came out with a statement, and no news other than that, but deficiencies that rendered the field surface unplayable. So you're putting out turf, and you find deficiencies, is the word that Brooklyn FC uses, that rendered the field surface unplayable. Could you not fasten the turf to the surface that you were going to be playing at Maimonides Park? Don't know. Update on what's going on in northern Colorado. Remember the deep dive that was out there involving northern Colorado hailstorm. Miles Blumhart from the Fort Collins, Coloradoan newspaper, he's following up with the original story that we had. Windsor town manager tells the newspaper about a week ago, a lot of private assets spent on the development with the amount of money invested. Hard not to think there won't be a long-term positive, even though the road has been a lot harder and slower than we would have liked. Met with the project's co-founder, Jeff Katofsky, last week, who assured him a new general contractor is being secured. Katofsky was meeting with lenders to get the project going again. Hale pointed out the town does not have a business relationship with Katofsky, only a relationship regarding use of athletic fields. New general contractor, Katofsky says, ramping back up, getting started with construction. Expect that to happen in the next couple of weeks. Remember, the BizWest story was what we brought to the table a couple of weeks ago. Coloradoan reached out to Jeff Katofsky's son, Casey, who is the director of operations for the whole facility where the hailstorm play. August 6th, he had agreed to a tour of the facility. Then a week later, texted that he'd be unavailable for the foreseeable future. And so they continued to circle back and try to text once again. And Casey Kotowski has yet to answer a text about a tour of the facility with the Fort Collins, Coloradoan newspaper. So the Kotowskis are saying that they're new general contractor and then they'll get everything back up and running. But the Fort Collins, Coloradoan wants to tour the facility with Jeff Kotowski's son, Casey. And Casey has yet to answer a text after initially saying, sure, we'll take the tour. And then he hasn't gotten back to them over a 3-week period. So the BizWest story was what we had as your initial requested required reading. And so there have been thoughts about branding and the risk if the developers fail to deliver. Unlikely the town would want the 50 acres of land back. Morning forecast. And so the town of Windsor attorney Dan Money said the only potential legal issues the town foresees is with liens on the 50 acres that includes the Diamond Valley Sports Complex. Broad expectations to be met, and if they fail those, clawback provisions on roughly the 50 acres of athletic facilities that would come back to the town. And so that's where things are in Windsor, Colorado right now, involving the folks that are at the center of Northern Colorado hailstorm in USL League One. So, and by the way, Pat Brennan at the Cincinnati Enquirer. Pat caught up with DeAndre Yedlin after FC Cincinnati lost to Inter Miami. And so DeAndre Yedlin, when he was asked, the half quote, it's MLS, it's a strange league, strange things in this league, which if I speak on, I'll probably get fined, so I'll leave it at that. When he was asked about the referees in the match. So Pat Brennan got that quote, or that half of a quote. So DeAndre Yedlin, when it comes to what he's experiencing in Cincinnati, he says it was a bit of an adventure dealing with officials in the matchup against Messi and friends. And by the way, if you missed it yesterday, Messi is apparently back training on his own down in South Florida. Don't know what a timetable is for his return, but yes, the world stopped, and we treated it as breaking news yesterday during the hour number 1 when Lionel Messi was spotted training on his own down in South Florida, getting ready for a return at some point between now and the year 2037. So we'll see what happens with that. Morning, Harry. Morning, Forecard. Morning, morning, Sharif. And morning, Kefsi, who is traveling and catching up with us this morning. Hour number 2, once again, it's our buddy Nino Torres from Gold TV. And he's got a big old rundown of stuff that he wants to get into. And I have a surprise for our buddy Nino. I have a surprise. He wants to talk about his beloved crew and coming in. So greetings, my friend. How are you?
Yellow, 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 yellow. We're here.
I bet.
Right
yeah, I figured we'd be getting that.
Right?
Yeah, I figured we'd be getting that.
We love you. We love you. We love you. And that's the way we follow. We follow. We follow. This is for Columbus, Columbus, Columbus. And that's the way we like it. We like it. We like it. Ooh. Nordic, baby. Nordic chance for you.
Oh, my God. Oh, he's coming in. Okay, so I said that I had a surprise for you. And I have that surprise, sir. And I have mentioned, so since you come in with your Columbus Crew scarf.
All right.
As we go fully loaded, and I know you got a boatload of topics to get into this morning. I promised you that I would show you, if not wear, my Almirante Brown.
Wow. That is insane.
That is the Almirante Brown jersey.
Wow.
Right there. It's one of those fan jerseys that you pick up from folks down at, like the Retro Zero Races, But in our soccer over there sojourns, where you fall in love with clubs like Defensa y Justicia because they have Becca Sese and that fine head of lettuce that he's sporting.
No, he's enjoying in Ecuador now.
So when you find a guy like Becca Sese and you sit there and go, man, that mane is strong, and you learn to chase after that, and then you go after the names like the strongest and things like that. Then you come across Almirante Brown.
That's unique, man. That is unique.
And we like, okay, we got to keep following Almirante Brown on a weekly basis. And so, I dropped a serious amount of coin to get that fan jersey, but I promised you that I would bring it on the show. And so now you know that I was not fibbing, that I do have an Almirante Brown fan jersey as a part of the learning tree that we've had here at SDH. How are you, my friend?
I'm fantastic, man. I'm fantastic today. All pumped to go with the day today. And also, I want to mention something here, okay? Because remember the trivia we did last week and I freaking lost with 1 goal?
Mm-hmm.
I was so mad after that. So I went into it and then look it up and, hold on a second. I knew it was 9. But for some reason, at one point, I looked once and it says 8 goals from Ademir. It's like, wait a second, really 8? And there were a couple of websites that were saying 8, but then I look, you know what? Let's look for the officials. Well,
okay.
The official records, and it was 9. It was
9. Okay.
But I knew for a long time there was 9, and one day it changed to 8, and it stuck to 8. And all right, that's my explanation about why did I miss.
Hey, goal. That's the thing, brother. It's like you got to sit there, and it's like there are some folks that will give you one number, some folks that'll sit there and go, no, that doesn't count. It's like being an official scorer in Major League Baseball. Is it an error? No, it's a hit. And then they change it like 6 innings later and go, yeah, no, it was an error. And you're sitting there going, man, I had it in fantasy and it screwed up my batting average and all my points for the week. So nope, I know exactly what you're talking about. So since you decided to sport your crew, you sported your crew gear, we got to talk about it. And Wilfred Nancy is officially reinforcing the fact that he is the man.
Yes, sir.
And the crew keep on rolling. They are a train, man, and ain't nobody stopping them yet.
And they won again against Philadelphia, and they got 2 games on hand. They were only 2 points behind the team from the South, right? From the South of 71, right?
Yeah, Messi and friends. We know about them.
And but you know what? There's another cup. It's another title, and I think, I mean, without being biased, I'm not being biased here because all my year and all the stuff, right? Mm. But Columbus is up there, man. If you go down the history, Columbus is up there as a, I'm not gonna say elite team, but it's at a top 5, top 6 in the history of the MLS. And don't forget that they were one of the founders too. So we got the first the soccer specific stadium in the country, and it's just another stripe for us, another stripe for Columbus to see if we can get a bit more of recognition, right? As a powerhouse in the MLS.
Mm-hmm. And that is absolutely true.
Down LAFC too, you know.
Well, and I mean LAFC. I think LAFC can be beaten. Crew, to me, and Wilfred Nancy, who better be getting looks from clubs in Europe. I mean, if he's doing what he's doing, you better be getting looks. If you're Wilfred Nancy and the Haslams, they better get ready to make sure that they can give Wilfred Nancy a couple of their truck stops, a couple of those truck stops that Wilfred Nancy can own to keep him in Columbus. Although I don't know if that can even happen.
I think he's going to stay because he's not done. He's not done. You know, they still need to leave that trophy for the MLS Cup, and it's just, I think it's the beginning of another era in Columbus, and hopefully they keep winning, and hopefully they can achieve something else that is international, right? We still behind on that department, and hopefully they can get into the CONCACAF champions and leave that trophy, another one for the MLS, to prove that the Liga MX, that guys, hey, my friends, my amigos, you're falling behind. Huh? You're falling behind in this race, huh? I'm telling you.
You mentioned Liga MX, and with Leagues Cup, the question has been raised. Even though we know that Leagues Cup is a television series, we know that it is there for a reason. It is there for content for Apple TV in a competition setting to get things, to help out CONCACAF and bring more notoriety to it. Bring more notice to CONCACAF as an entity leading into World Cup in 26. But no Liga MX teams making it to the Final Four in Leagues Cup. How much? How seriously, I guess, should the sirens be going off in Liga MX offices about, hey, we didn't get to the Final Four in Leagues Cup? What should the vibe be right now that it was only MLS sides that made it to the Final Four in Leagues Cup? Should there be a freaking out in Liga MX offices right now?
They're not. That's the problem. They think that it's just a random competition. Like, as you mentioned, is for Apple TV, and that this tournament doesn't really resonate across the globe, and we're bigger than that. So we're just gonna give you that. All right, that's where they're thinking now. Okay, we give you that. You can have that. All right, we'll take on the champions, because that's the title that really matters for us, to be the real kings of the hill here in this bubble that is CONCACAF, and this bubble that's only the MLS and the Liga MX are the ones that are fighting for titles here. And just to give you an idea, they also say, just imagine this, right? Because they imagine what they think about this Leagues Cup, when they think that that they could win the Copa Libertadores every other year if they wanted to, but they don't play in the Copa Libertadores anymore. But it's a competition that they don't consider, because they believe that they're better than everyone else. That's the problem, and that thought is not going away. I don't know what they need. What it needs to happen for the Liga MX to really wake up and really change things around, because reality is that they're on an island, and they're not producing enough quality players that they used to, and they are on the fall. They're on a fall. They don't want to recognize that.
It's when you have a table in the Liga MX. Now, let me dig up the table real quick here. And I know that we're early in the Apertura, but when you have a table that has as much turnover as it does for Liga MX, and you have some of the grandes that you don't know where they're going to be, Apertura, Clausura. They could be at the top in one, at the bottom of the other. I mean, right now, you've got most of the grandes there toward the top. Cruz Azul, Monterrey, Tigres, Pumas is 7th. But, I mean, you have some of the grandes that are top 5. Pumas is 7th right now. Chivas has been – it's like somebody put sugar in Chivas' gas tank like years ago, and they haven't figured out they have to change the engine. They're 9th in the table. They're right there. They're mid. Puebla's 11th. Club America is 12th right now in the table. And this is after 5 matches. Yeah, León is 13th, Pachuca's 15th, and Santos Laguna 16th. And you don't have, I think, for another couple of years, you don't have promotion relegation with
they don't have that.
The Liga de Expanso. But it's like there's no stability with the grandes. And I mean, for me, that's cool because it lends itself to chaos and it gives us stuff to talk about. But when your grandes aren't consistent about being at the top, I think that should be a big old siren at the top of the cop car.
But that's the thing is, they're still in their competition. All right, they're still it's a domestic issue for them. We'll figure it out. You know, we're going to turn this around. We're going to drop some more money because we got a lot of money, and that they do have a lot of money in the League MX.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's just they think it's just this momentary. You know, it's not forever that they're going to be the grinders are going to be down. Oh, we're going to turn these around next season. We're going to spend up, the 10, 15 million. They got freaking what's this guy Paulinho from Toluca, getting into Toluca, and he's going to score tons of goals, man. Paulinho, he is going to score. He is going to be ridiculous, man, ridiculous. That guy is coming off of winning the championship in Portugal, and scoring a lots of goals in the Primera Liga. And that the very moment that he arrived to look at, boom, right away, boom, 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 to score like I don't know how many goals he got already, but I haven't been following up, but he's on a roll, and he's gonna and they're gonna show they prove. You see, we can get those kind of players. You can't.
Paulinho has 4 goals in 5 matches, and he's the only guy to score more than 1 goal so far this season for Toluca.
I think he's going to be in double digits. Probably he's going to score, I want to say 20. I want to say 20 goals on this campaign easily.
Wow. Yeah, because 4 other dudes have scored 1 goal. Paulinho has scored 4. He also has 1 assist this season. So he's one of 5 guys that has been a part of both categories right now for Toluca. Since you mentioned Portugal, we'll go ahead and go there since you opened that door. And with what's going on, because for those folks that get to listen and watch you on Goal TV, Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here, helps out the network, helps out the degenerate nature of watching sports all around the planet, including what you get to do when calling Portugal. You got a really cool story right now out of the early returns in Portugal. What's going on?
It is the Sporting Club is on pace to repeat the title for the first time. There's going to be a repeat in the Primera Liga since I'm calling the league since the season 2019. 2018-2019 was the last season that a team repeated the title in Portugal. Was Benfica. They got the 18-19 and the 17-18 season back to back. And since then, not all our team has repeated the title, but it looks like Sporting is going to repeat the title this season. They are off their best start in the country, in the competition since 1951, 1952. 14 goals scored, 2 conceded in the first 3 rounds.
Man.
3 rounds, 14 goals.
What?
And Victor Gyökeres has 6 goals in the first 3 rounds of the competition. They acquired this guy, this Swedish assassin, as I call him. I call him also, I call him. You like Game of Thrones? Have you seen Game of Thrones?
I take your word for it. I never got into it.
Right. Just after we went down, you Google the thing. It's the Night King.
Okay.
He is the scariest character in the series. And this guy, this is what he is. He's scary, man. He is scary. They acquired this striker from the Premiership, from the commentary in the Premiership.
Mm-hmm.
He went under the radar. 23 years old, scoring 23 goals in the Premiership. He went unnoticed for any of the big clubs. And in Portugal, Sporting Club, hey, that guy. Give me that guy. Give me that Swedish guy. So they got him last season. Boom. He exploded. He's been massive. 54 games played, 49 goals scored. 49 goals in 54 games.
That's out of control, man.
All right. The way he's going now on this pace, he's going to have more goals scored than games played. I'm going to say by round 10, he's going to have more goals than games played. And it's crazy, right? Because I talked to a lot of Sportingistas, and because they went on a title drought for 19 years, man. since 2003 to 2002. Since 2002 was the last time they won the championship, right?
Mhm.
And then they won it again in 2021, and then they won it again last year, and they're on pace to win it this year. So they're flipping things around in Portugal, because it's Porto, Benfica, Benfica, Porto, Porto, Benfica, Benfica, Porto every other year, right? They've got two different champions only since the beginning of this millennium. Sporting in 2002 and Boavista in 2001. No one else other than Benfica or Porto won championships in Portugal, and they're scared now. They're moving, they're flipping. It's just the transfer market for Porto is been ridiculously busy. They got like five different players in the last week alone, because they know that they need to catch up on Sporting. Plus, they're on their new coach. They lost Conceição, who was the coach for Porto for 7 seasons. Roger Schmidt in Benfica, they brought him over from the Eredivisie. He won the championship in the first year, but in the second year, there's lots of red flags, and this season already, they kick off the season with a loss in Famalicão, and everybody was calling for his head. Roger Schmidt, you should go, get out of here. And then they win again, and then they love him again. I'm going to tell you something. Benfica fans are the most ridiculous fans in the planet, man. I know a lot of fans for different teams, but these Benfiquistas are they're something else, man. They are something else. They don't believe in anything. They wait for Recosta, the president of the club, outside of the stadium, to question him about his decisions. They basically want him to leave and want Roger Schmidt to leave, because Benfica cannot go more than 1 year without being a champion. Come on, man.
You mentioned Gyökeres's numbers. When he was at Coventry City in the championship, as they were trying to get promoted to the Premier League, last couple of seasons that Gyökeres was at Coventry, when he finally got everything dialed in the 21-22 season, he was 17-5 in league play in 21-22, finished with 18 goals. Right. Then in 22-23, the season before he moved to Portugal, he had 22 goals in all comps and 10 assists. And then you mentioned how he just absolutely is destroying the Liga Portugal. 29-9 in 33 matches. Then you add 6 more in the Taça de Portugal. Then you add 5 more in Europa League. Then you add 3 more in Allianz Cup. You're having me do math. 35, 43 goals last year in all competitions. 43 and 15 last year for all of the competitions that he was attached to for Victor Gyökeres in Sporting. That's insane.
It's insane. He got a release clause of 100 million. And it's surprising also, after that magic season, he stayed. He stayed in Portugal. I don't know what it is. I think it's the age. I think it might be the age, because he's 25. That none of the big clubs and the big 5 pitch money for him. It's unheard of. And like I said at the end of last season of my Sportingistas, listen, folks, if Sporting gets to keep Ruben Amorim, because he was in negotiations, he was flirting with the teams in the Premier League. He actually went to London to have meetings right before the season ends. And if you got to keep Ruben Amorim, the coach, and Victor Gyökeres, you're gonna repeat the title. No, don't be. Just listen to what I'm saying, man. Boom! What happened in the first round? Boom! 5 goals, 6 goals, 7 goals. They're gonna repeat the title, man. They're gonna repeat the title.
That is absolutely nuts. We are fully loaded, as we always are, with our buddy Nino Torres from Gold TV. And this is where we take the world tour. It's like the wide world of sports when you come in on your Thursdays, and it's epic to have you here. Libertadores Sudamericana. That's the next stop. And
Yes, sir.
we got some stuff. We got some stuff here.
Yeah.
Libertadores. Fluminense beats Gremio in pens. They go on to advance. Colo-Colo beat Junior. They advance. Atletico beats San Lorenzo. They go. Strong.
Yeah.
Our boys, the strongest. One of the best nicknames ever. Beating Peñarol. River Plate over Teixeiras. Palmeiras and Botafogo was half past insane as a match.
Yeah.
And then you end up with Sao Paulo beating Nacional and Bolivar beating Flamengo to set things up in the next round. And it is, as it is all laid out, and that's going to be in a couple of weeks. But it's Colo-Colo River Plate, which it's got some crazy attached to it. Fluminense Atletico, Botafogo Sao Paulo, Flamengo, and Peñarol. So we look at Libertadores, we're down to the final 8. But yeah, the Gremio match with Botafogo was in blanking sane to watch that one to see who would advance.
It was insane, man. And in the end, I know I said this last week that I was hoping and dreaming and wishing that we could have River Plate winning the Copa Libertadores and Boca Juniors winning the Copa Sudamericana. Well, Boca Juniors is out of the Sudamericana. They're ousted. My beloved, my Peruvian Vincula was sent off within 15 seconds, man. He got a red card in the 15 seconds, man.
How do you swing that legitimately? How do you do that? How do you pull that off? That's special.
I don't know. I really don't know. I saw the replays over and over again, and I was trying to defend him, but I guess it's when you come into these games, you got your testosterone levels way up to the roof, and you got to manage that. You got to manage that because it was 15 seconds into the game. There's no need to go all in the first tackle of the night. But again, it happened, and then he was crying, he was bawling. But I gotta tell you something: Boca Juniors fans, they love Advíncula. They love Advíncula. They haven't up here, man. Up here, since he arrived, he understood what it's like to play for Boca Juniors, and because of that, he got away with it. I mean, with the fans, I'm saying.
Okay.
With the fans, they still love him. They still love it. They're still now blaming Marcos Rojo and blaming everyone else, but they leave Advíncula alone. Right? They kind of, yes. This is how crazy it is with the Boca Juniors fans. But in the back to the Libertadores, I went to the Sudamericana, but back to the Libertadores, we're not gonna get out of this Brazilian dominance, man. We're not. This Brazilian dominance is the era is not the end yet. I don't know when is that going to happen because I know the money is not going to go away anytime soon. And when this is all right. This is the thing, right? Flamengo. Listen to this, right? Flamengo, their roster, all right, their budget is bigger than every single other team in the CONMEBOL.
The gross national product of Brazil.
It is. It's just way. You can't compete. You can't compete when you bring coaches from Europe. All right, you can't compete when you got players coming in from the Serie A, from Portugal. No, you can't compete. You can't. It's money. You say money can buy anything. Well, in soccer it does. All right. In soccer, money can buy happiness. It can buy titles. It can buy everyone else. Everything else. It's just a matter of money that I don't know when we're gonna catch up. I know Gallardo is back into River Plate. He already made tremendous moves for his beloved team to be back at the top of the competition. But I think they're gonna fall short, and we're not gonna see a team other than a Brazilian team winning both competitions.
Yep, and in the Sudamericana, by the way, we were in the round of 16. Now we're in the round of 8. Fortaleza gets through, beating Rosario Central. Corinthians survives Red Bull Bragantino, and so that's one matchup. Atletico Paranaense, no problem with Belgrano. They go through. Racing Club put 6 on Huachipato in the second round. No problem there.
Might be Racing.
Libertad Asuncion, they make their way through. They get Cruzeiro, who beat Boca Juniors, which set the world sideways. The earthquake that you heard was Cruzeiro winning and advancing. And then Lanús beats LDU Quito 2-1, 3-1, no problems. And then the Independiente Medellin beat Palestino, shut them out in the second round the second match 4-0. So your final 8: Fortaleza Corinthians, Atlético Paranaense Racing Club, Libertad Asuncion Cruzeiro, and Lanús and Independiente Medellin.
Yeah, and out of those, I think that if there is one team that I can ruin the party for the Brazilians, that's Lanús. I would say I'll take Lanús as the dark horse on this Sudamericana competition. And yeah, that they are the only ones, I think. Maybe Racing can snatch here, but I don't think that the problem with Racing is they're so inconsistent, man. They can be superstars in 1 week and then play just an average team in the next week. So I don't have that much trust in Racing, but with Lanús, they're way more consistent than Racing Club, and I believe that they could be the only ones that can win the Samba in the Copa Sudamericana, man.
And I know that you also wanted to address what happens when we lose someone at the age of 27 on the pitch, and it was a shocking moment. And it turned out to be a sad moment for the sport in Sao Paulo as well. But 27 years old, taken away from us.
Yes, Juanito Izquierdo, Uruguayan defender. As a matter of fact, I was watching the game, and he vanished on the pitch, man. He vanished on the pitch, and then when you know that it's serious when players from both teams are calling for the assistance. Yeah. Come on here. The golf cart rush into the game. No. We need an ambulance. We need an ambulance. And they got him off the pitch. And turned out to be a heart attack, man. Mm-hmm. He suffered a heart attack on the pitch. And unfortunately for people that is, for men, not people, men, and listen to this because the women don't get heart attacks this young, but for men that they get heart attacks under the age of 40, it's just there's no coming back from that. Your heart in this case, the older your heart, the better to hold a heart attack. Mm-hmm. But when you're under 40, you got a heart attack, you're done, man. You're done. And it was so breathtaking. The Uruguayan League suspended their games last weekend, and they're also going to suspend the games this weekend. Yep. He's arriving today to Montevideo. The Uruguayan Air Force. Mm-hmm. Got a plane specially for him, so they brought him home. His wife and 2 kids, man. He baby born, man. Yeah, he just got a baby a couple of weeks before, man. Man, it's so sad. It's so sad, and John, but it's getting more common now. You see that it's like every year we have more casualties like this happening on the pitch, and it happened in Europe. That kids for 18 years old, having these heart issues. It is really concerning. I don't know what it is, because it's gotta be. They gotta find the pattern. They gotta find what is the source of these heart conditions in elite athletes. Yeah. Why are we getting these issues so young? We never heard of this 20 years ago. It was never ever we had anybody suffering anything on the pitch in many years. I don't recall any soccer player falling onto the ground in any game in since I don't know when.
Yeah.
But it's been happening for the last, I want to say, past 5 years or so, right?
Yeah.
Around that,
Yeah.
6 years ago that we started getting this. This is more common. It's more common. So when they need to figure it out, doctors and do a research on why is this happening to these young athletes, young people, you know?
Yep. All right. Time for the crossover because it is the final half hour of the show, which means one thing. This is where we join. We have the harmonic convergence of Peru, Seattle, and Office HD. So this is where we bring in Niko Moreno, and it is Nino, it is Niko, and it is Nelly. So that's where we are right now with the harmonic convergence here for the final half hour of the show on Thursdays. Last week, Nino, Niko got stuck at the airport.
No.
And I mean, well, it's like trying to be there, and he was trying to be the good dude, and he was picking up folks from early flights and things like that. In Seattle, the Seattle-Tacoma airport traditionally is a pain in the you-know-what when you're trying to get there, when you're trying to get parked, when you're trying to drop folks off, when you're trying to get out of there. Because last time I remembered, it was like a two-lane boulevard with a middle turn lane to get in and around all that area in Tacoma to get to this airport. Niko was in that jam like he was there before the roosters were crowing, trying to help out the family. And Niko, if I get any of this wrong, just correct me. He was there before the roosters were crowing, trying to help out the family and be a good dude and make sure that folks who were coming in on the alley birds were getting there so he could be a part of the family experience and everything. Niko got stuck at SeaTac in all of that madness. And I think he's finally now out of the madness at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. It took him a week, but now he's finally out of it to join us here. Did I get that right, Niko?
You got it right, baby. Yes, definitely. It's been a little bit hectic at SeaTac Airport, and I do not envy anybody that works there. There's been so many issues, cyber attacks. There's been problems with traffic. There's been all kinds of things that have just made that a difficult place to be. That's why I wasn't on last week, but I'm back on today. I'm excited to be here. Whether the Sounders were eliminated last night or not, we are here to just talk about that and much more.
Mm-hmm. So with Nino, we caught up with him on his beloved Columbus Crew. We caught up on Libertadores. We caught up on Sudamericana. We caught up on the Portuguese Primera. We are all over the place. So, Nino, let me ask you, do you have a question for Niko to start things off here in the almighty crossover on a Thursday about Major League Soccer, about Liga MX, could be Sudamericana, Libertadores, I don't care. Is there a question in the crossover from Nino for Niko?
Hey Niko, how you doing? Good morning. Good morning. It's what time is in there, man? Now it's at 6:30. What time is in there?
He's at 7:30. 7:40. He's at 7:40 local time, brother. That's where he is.
That's right. But it's always good talking to you, Nino. At 7:30, 6:30 is always good talking to you, my friend.
No problem. Thank you, Niko. Question here for my beloved striker, Raul Ruiz. Do you have anything for next season to him? There's anything that is going to say that he's going to say? I'm not saying that he's coming because I know he's not coming to Universidad de Deportes. I know that. But anything in the future, in the near future for him that are chances that he can stay with Seattle, he might be moving to another city, maybe in the East Coast?
Yeah, that's a great question. As long as you're not one of those that's continuing to pump the I don't know, accelerated on something that doesn't happen this season, yes, I think that there's actually a gambit of possibilities for Raul Ruiz. I mean, there's a lot to go on. I'm working on a story that will be out here hopefully tomorrow morning about the situation, and go ahead and wait on that. It should be through Sounder Heart, and but just to not give you anything that's going to be in that story, I just think that Raul has a lot of possibilities. Seattle has already started negotiating with him. I believe that there is a possibility that he might want to go home if he wants to recapture some of those moments of his career where he was an idol, where he was someone that was looked at differently. I feel for him because over the last couple of years, he's been a super sub of a certain kind. So because of that, I think that maybe there is a desire to go back to Peru. But I do know that in MLS, there's plenty of teams that want him. So because I do believe that there's going to be nothing going on with him at this time, when his contract expires at the end of the season, I think he's going to take a long look about what he wants to do. Do I want to be economically sound and stay in MLS and maybe have a rotational role, or is there an MLS team that's going to be able to put me in a starting role, and maybe I can do that? Or do I want to go back to Peru where maybe the salary is not as high, but I am again a superstar? Exactly. I'm the savior. I'm the guy that everybody wants to see. I'm the guy that everybody chants about. So it really talks about that transitional moment for a player that's always been the face of a franchise and now has to figure out, either do I look for that same type of situation, or do I just stay in MLS and try to see where I can land my feet at? But I do think that there's going to be a lot of options for Raul. I don't think that he'll stay in Seattle. If I was a betting man, I'd say that he will not remain in Seattle. I think in Seattle, there's an even lesser role next year. This team will be looking for a DP striker in the offseason. So that would put him behind a new DP striker, behind Jordan Morris. And him being the third option is not something that I think he would like to, have here in Seattle.
Not at all. Not at all. But Nico, where's the outlet that you're gonna post the story?
Sounder at Heart.
Sounder at Heart. Okay. I'll look it up tomorrow.
Sounder at Heart is where it is. And our buddy Nino Torres, he's getting the pipes ready. He's saving his pipes because he's got all those games to call on Gold TV this weekend. As always, my friend, great to catch up with you at 10 o'clock Eastern time on our Thursdays. Have a fantastic weekend. Have great calls. And we will come back next week and we'll talk more stuff with you. That's the official term. Love you, my brother. We'll catch up with you next week.
Bye, Nino.
John, thank you, Nico. Appreciate it, guys. See you.
Right.
Bye-bye.
There's Nino. Nino made a point when he came on at 10 o'clock. The first thing he's doing, he's singing Nordecke songs, man. He's got his Columbus Crew scarf. He's sitting there and he's singing all the stuff from the Nordecke, and he's all gassed up and ready to go about Columbus Crew. And no, I'm serious. It's like literally he's got all the supporter stuff going. And he's like, there's this one lone voice in Peru singing Nordecke songs for the Columbus Crew. It's almost like we've run out of superlatives. We've run out of positive things to say about how Wilfred Nancy is taking the 4-2-4 and doing what he's doing, and no one can catch up to him. We're running out of stuff to say. And Columbus, going through all of the competitions in the hemisphere, they still got matches in hand. It looks like they're going to be the 2 in the Eastern Conference, and they're going to be just as dangerous as ever as a 2 than they would have been in any place else in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good team to follow right now. That's a good team to support. Without a doubt, it's been an organization that has done it right in every single phase of the game. They've done a great recruiting. They've done a great adding the right pieces in terms of players. They've brought up a coach that can amplify all that can make it better, that has a great soccer module. So Columbus, it's, to me, and has been for, 2 seasons, the most entertaining team and the most consistent team, and I would say the best team in MLS. I hold that today. Beyond support shield candidate or top candidate in Miami. I think that Columbus is by far the best team.
Let's talk about what happened last night at Starfire, and to have that place as jammed as it was. I mean, it looked like it was a fantastic environment, packed house, 5 yards shorter, if I heard correctly, than the dimensions at Lumen. So it's kind of a cramped quarters, and it was just the 1-goal margin. What happened last night at Starfire to have LAFC advance to the final and hosting Open Cup against Sporting Kansas City?
Yeah, I mean, that's 10 games in a row unbeaten for LAFC against Seattle. They just find a way. And last night at Starfire, as you mentioned, 5 yards sound about right. I want to say is a little bit more, a little bit less, but it's somewhere around those lines. Yeah. It was clearly a factor. LAFC was uncomfortable. LAFC couldn't move the ball as quickly. The fluidity wasn't quite there. The spacing, Ocampo didn't have that wide of a lane to get through. You could tell even players just receiving the ball at the widest part of the field, it was going out of bounds. I mean, it's definitely a change in adaptation. The ball runs a lot faster at Starfire. So Seattle did well in 45 minutes. I think LAFC had one big chance, which is laser from K. Kamara that I don't know how Jackson Reagan puts his head and doesn't get a concussion out of that and basically gets it out of the inside of the goal. So it was a game in which even with LAFC in a situation where they were, I think, at a disadvantage because of their style of play, their soccer module, where the Sounders' defensive roles were easier because you have less space to cover, you're closer to people. I thought that Nuhu had a great game. He frustrated Kike Oliveira when he was in there. I thought that Yeimar Gomez Andrade and Jackson did well. But at the end of the day, Seattle just didn't do enough on the offensive end because just as it was hard for LAFC, it was hard for Seattle. And when you got those three monsters, even without Murillo in the back of the LAFC, it's just hard. And there was lack of services into Jordan Morris. There was a constant attempt to try to get balls into the 18 that just weren't successful. Seattle did try the mid-range resort, but there were just too many bodies. It would get blocked off, it'd get a hit off. So at the end of the day, I think they only had one clear chance on goal. And beyond that, there wasn't much more. So was there some controversy? Yes. I've been looking at that handball by Alex Roldan and Pedro de la Vega. Both feel like they're being tucked inside. At first, I thought it was, at first I didn't see it correctly. Then I watched the slow motion. It seemed like there was a handball. This morning, I was watching the game all over again, and I kind of slowed it down, and it seemed like De La Vega does try to tuck that arm inside, and so does Alex Roldan because he hits on both players. So I understand people's frustration with the call. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it goes beyond that. Seattle clearly should have done more to not allow critical or not critical mistakes by a referee change the outlook of this game. Then there was the offsides on Jordan Morris that also, looking at it seems like maybe he's a step offside. A little bit harsh, both of those calls, both difficult, both were a factor. But at the end of the day, the substitutions, the execution wasn't there for Seattle, and is just another game where LAFC just gets the best out of them. And if I had to come up with a conclusion of why they haven't been able to beat them since May of 2021, they just don't match up well with LAFC. They don't match up well on paper because they're clearly better. LAFC consistently has one, if not two, if not three game changers that can just change the game on their own. And when there's games like yesterday, when you can beat their three-man back line and you can get behind them and you can challenge them more and you allow them to sit the way they sat, then it all goes well for LAFC, even if it is with the PK that Buanga puts away.
And you have the most handsome man in Major League Soccer rivaling the most handsome man between the sticks. On
Who
his
didn't play? He was just walking around Starfire, looking at the beauty of the bleachers and walking through the taco trucks and walking through what I feel like it's a shed for maintenance on the grass as he goes through into the field. So I'm sure he had a blast.
Yeah, man, a bit of a wake up experience for Olivier Giroud, as he is now wearing the LAFC colors and producing for them in his limited action so far.
He did take a lot of pictures with fans. Him and Lloris were very gracious. There was a group of people waiting at the stairs of Starfire as they're going into the buses, because they waited for the whole parking lot to clear out before they came out. And I thought they were very gracious with fans here in Seattle.
And so now with Open Cup behind us, and we know who's going to be in the final. Leagues Cup is behind us once again, and if somebody's going to beat LAFC and the most handsome man in Major League Soccer, it's going to be Wilfred Nancy and Columbus Crew. We set the alarm bells off yesterday. Breaking news that Lionel Messi was back doing toe touchies and individual workouts. So the imminent return is somewhat whenever when it comes to Messi and friends. When it comes to the Western Conference, and we'll get into Cliffhanger because it's been a while since we had the time to play Cliffhanger. We got to get into Cliffhanger this week.
Absolutely.
When it comes to Major League Soccer and the Western Conference, we know that it was going to be, right now, it's going to be that mix of LAG and LAFC and whoever wants to chase after them to be in third, RSL, what have you. But LAG is putting some distance between themselves and everybody else, but that's because they're playing all these matches in a very, very quick time. 3 matches in hand for LAFC right now. They're 5 points back, but they've got 3 matches in hand to make up the difference. And then there's a match in hand with RSL as well. So right now, I mean, LAFC, they've got that wiggle room to get past LAG to get the top seed. What's it looking like for you when it comes to, say, that group of 3? Because then you've got that second group that's got Colorado, your Sounders, Vancouver, Portland, Houston, and then you've got the group trying to get in. So there's 3 groups right now in the Western Conference. You've got the lead pack and the 2 chase packs.
Yeah, no, you basically just outlined it perfectly. However, I do feel like there is no moving the 2 LA clubs. I think LAG, in the way they're doing it, they found a great way to just incorporate Marcus Royce into the mix. He looks like a guy that's gonna be a perfect fit, although maybe we didn't feel like they needed a guy like that. He definitely came to shine. Debut goal. It seems like the vibes are perfectly with Ricky. So this is a team to watch. I did not expect him to play in the first line of midfielders at the holding mid. I didn't see that coming, but that's where he played. It seems like it'd be a perfect fit if you want to keep the triple P's up top. I mean, it just seems to work. So they're a scary team, although defensive issues, I think, can still catch them later on down the line against the LAFC team that is absolutely the candidate to take over because of how they've been playing, because of the way they've been doing it in that roster. But I do think RSL is in the very thin line of potentially dropping from those 3, and maybe they allow a team like Colorado to get forward because Chicho Arango is hurt, because I think Carlos Gomez no longer there is a big problem to have. He had been so productive, so effective. He'd been such a perfect partnership for Chicho Arango. So the fact that both of these players are either hurt or no longer there are an issue. I saw the frustration when he came to Pablo talking about his holding midfielders. Inelli didn't have a good game, neither did Ojeda against San Jose, a game that you thought that they were going to just win and continue to stay in the shield race and stay top of the West. So those things kind of worry me about RSL. So maybe Colorado gets in there. I think Seattle has a really tough start to their next couple of games at Portland, a team that, regardless of also not being the greatest defensive team. They have a lot of firepower, a lot of options up top. Then you play the best team in MLS in Columbus. I mean, there's just a difficult start to that. How they manage that, I think that's going to be interesting, but I don't foresee them getting up there. So it's going to be some changes. There's going to be some movement. But I think that the top two LA teams are going to stay there. They're there to stay, and they're going to be fighting for the number one spot without a doubt. I still think that Portland has something to say, regardless of some issues. I think that they can fix that back line, maybe moving Kamal Miller and allowing Mosquera to get forward and playing three in the back. I mean, I think that there's options for the Timbers to get better moving forward. But it's going to be an interesting race in the West, at least for those 3 to 6 spots. The 1 and 2 are set, and you can believe that. Mm-hmm. But after that, it could get interesting.
Yeah, 3 through 6 will be interesting, and then the 7, 8, 9 will be interesting too for folks trying to get in. Not as cutthroat as it's going to be in the Eastern Conference, where 9 to the bottom is separated by 2 points right now. That's just nuts to think about. But all those teams 7 teams separated by 2 points to get into the play-in. So that's the sprint that we have to focus on if you're a fan of Atlanta United. All right, it's that time. For those of you who might be joining us for the first time, traditionally what we like to do at the end of Niko's segment is preview the action coming up in the weekend. And we'll roll through all of the games on the board. And if there is a game that Niko wants to talk about, Niko yells stop, or he just interrupts me and goes, yo, bro, I got something to say. And we go through the grid, we go through the juice boxes, and we kind of try to help folks out just to kind of give a bit of a piece of advice for the matchups this weekend. So it's time for Niko to play cliffhanger. And here we go. So tell you what, since it's the first one on the board, Charlotte and Atlanta in Charlotte, rivalry game. Charlotte is a -114. Draws almost a +300 in the composite. And Atlanta United is a +267. What say you?
I think it's going to be a good game. I think Charlotte has kind of shown you that they continue to do well at what they've been working on. I think that with new additions and a more solid back line and continuing to move forward with their style of play, I think they're going to give Atlanta some issues. Atlanta, regardless of also new acquisitions, a new 10, you could see the spark that those players provide. I see this one being a draw, being one of those games where there's a lot of half chances, but not a lot of real opportunities on goal. And I think this is going to be one where it's going to be completely no goals, 0-0, good battle in the midfield, and it stays even.
Kalina and Guzan coming up big on both sides for that one. So Crew and NYC. Crew's on the minus side, understandably so, going up against NYC, and this one's in Columbus. And NYC is a +336 on the road at Columbus, taking on Crew.
Yeah, I want nothing to do with that one. I think Columbus does win it. I do like what I saw from New York City FC in Leagues Cup. I do believe that they finally got their 9, and I feel like between Maxi and Santi, there's a lot to like there, but Columbus is just too good. They're too powerful. I think that they're gonna submit this team into a game where they're the protagonist, where they hold the ball, where they have the best chances, and seeing the way they held LAFC and were able to minimize what they do well, I don't see New York City FC beating Columbus in this one, but numbers aren't good enough, but I'll take Columbus.
FC Cincinnati at home against CF Montreal. FC Cincinnati is a -250. CF Montreal is a +577 in the composite. I ain't touching it. I think Cincinnati takes care of business, and I don't know. I was shocked that Laurent Courtois wasn't fired when they lost 5-0 to the Revs when Joey Saputo was in the building. I'm surprised Courtois made it out alive.
I agree. I want nothing to do with it. Don't go with that one, people. It looks like it's worth $10, but it's really not.
Red Bulls hosting Philadelphia. Red Bulls -139. The Union are a +340 at Red Bull Arena.
Wow. those are big odds. That I mean, I understand it. Philadelphia's year has been awful.
Mm-hmm.
There's another team that used Leagues Cup to their advantage. Dre Blake's resurrection and kind of coming back to being that elite goalkeeper. I think Gostak did a lot well. I like Maribo. He's been so good. But I feel like Red Bulls are a more put together team. That's another game that I would not want anything to do with. But I do like the Red Bulls in that one.
Purple team hosting Nashville at a minus 200. Nashville on the road is almost a plus 500 to win. Draws a plus 345.
Nope. But give me the draw on that one either way. But Orlando is probably the most difficult team to decipher. You don't know what version of them you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
It's ups and downs. They can look brilliant one time, and that attacking third can look fantastic, and they can look so dynamic. And there are times where they're just like watching paint dry when they're moving the ball. And defensively, they've had issues. So I definitely want nothing to do with that, but I'll probably take the draw on it if I have to.
Drone FC, otherwise known as Toronto FC, at home. They're on the plus side. They're a plus 114 hosting DC United. Christian Benteke signed a new deal. They're north of plus 208. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay, great, fine, cool. I'm on to the next one. Austin hosting Vancouver. Austin's a plus 142. Vancouver's a plus 179. Hey, guess what? I'm on to the next one. Chicago hosting and Friends, since Messi ain't there yet. The Juice Box bosses have thrown a blanket over the whole thing. It's within the margin of error. Chicago's slight favorite in and around plus 150. Messi and friends are a plus 152. So they're hedging their bets. It's like they trust Tata to do something, but it's Chicago, so they've got to make it look like Chicago's a favorite. I'm still going with and friends here, but I ain't touching it.
Well, let's do something fun. What's the compos on the goals?
All right, so hang on just a second. Let's see.
Because that could be something we could titter with to make it at least viable to put something on it.
As we wait for Luis Suarez's knees to explode. Over under 2.5 at a minus 185. Over under 3.5 is a plus 134. So you start your plus at plus 3.25. 3.5 is plus 134. 4 is plus 237. 4.5 is a plus 296.
Yeah, no, move me along. That did not help at all.
No doubt about that. I don't blame you. Okay, so the other Central Time Zone stuff, FC Dallas and Colorado. FC Dallas favored at home at a plus 125. Rapids are a plus 190 on the road. That's yeah. I mean that's
interesting. But Dallas has they've really come up after Niko's departure. I feel like they're a team that simplified their game. I think Velasco might be back here soon as well. And Ferreira is another player that had not been there. And Ijaramendi, I feel like they've missed for a long time, and he's been back and playing well. So this is an interesting one with Dallas and Colorado. What's the compose on goals there? If we could.
Yeah, I saw you working. I saw the brain going. I figured that might be where you go. Going over the top. 2.5 a minus 169. 3 is a minus 105. 3.5 is a plus 144. 4 is a plus 254. 4.5 is a plus 320.
Give me the 4. Give me the 4 in this one. I feel like if last game is any indication of where Dallas is. That DC United game was a bit of a back and forth. I think Colorado themselves can get forward quite often, and they can be a team that gives up a lot of goals. Although Zach Steffen has used Leagues Cup to really up his game, or at least up his value, he was big time. As much as Colorado got that third place and didn't get where they wanted to, I feel like this tournament showed you a lot from Mihailovic, a lot from Zach Steffen, a lot from a defense that you thought that with Bombito gone was going to struggle a lot, and they really haven't. So yeah, I like that game to be back and forth either way. So I'll take the 4. And you know what? I'll take the 4. And I'll take Dallas on that one as well.
Okay. All right. RSL, a big favorite against the Revs at a minus 213. LAFC coming off of Open Cup semifinal, hosting Houston, favored at a -169. I might take the under in that one just because of all of the effort that was made to get a 1-goal win in the midweek, having to turn around and play at home against Houston. I'm not anticipating a whole lot of goals. So I think LA gets it done. I think LAFC wins it. I think the under might be the play. Then that leads us to, well, first off, I'll put San Jose in Minnesota and I'll get that one out of the way. San Jose's favored at a +123. And the one matchup on Sunday is all caps in LAG, all caps at City Park, favored at home at a +135. LAG's a +169 on the road. I might take the Galaxy in that one. Draws a +284. So that leaves us with the one game on the board. I think you know what game it is.
It is, but before you do that,
yeah,
without knowing the drop on the goals or beyond what you just said about the LA Galaxy and St. Louis, I'll take 3.5 on that game, and I'll take the Galaxy. St. Louis, LA Galaxy. I feel like there's going to be a lot of goals. I've seen an improvement from St. Louis, and it's not just because of that 4-4 draw against the Timbers, but I think Hardle and a lot of these guys that have came in have given this St. Louis team a little bit of life. So I like the goals, 3.5 plus, and the Galaxy in that one.
Okay, so you're getting a slight push at a +102. So you're north of the plus side. You're north of even money, barely, on 3.5. 4, by the way, is a +167 if you are interested in going.
So they're expecting a lot of goals. Yeah, okay.
All right, so last game on the board that we're going to talk about. Portland hosting Seattle in Cascadia. So Seattle has to turn around from a midweek game where they gave a lot of energy and they still lost, came out on the short end of the stick to get to the U.S. Open Cup final. So a lot of energy expended. You've got to turn around, go down to Portland, play the Timbers in a Cascadia matchup. Portland is a +122 at home, draws a +262. Seattle right now north of +200 at a +204. And so the second, there we go.
Do you see me?
There we go. There you go.
Okay, good. Yes, so this is a tough game. You said it absolutely right. This is a difficult game for Seattle for so many reasons. The emotional wear and tear that they just had, the physical wear and tear that they just had.
Yep.
I think if you look at any positives, is that Pedro de la Vega came in a little bit later, as I think Brian was expecting the game to go to overtime, so he didn't get a lot of miles under him. And I think Pedro de la Vega, going back to Minnesota, not the game against LAFC, because he just didn't get enough of the ball to make a difference. But if you go back to Minnesota, when he came in, what he did, you saw the type of improvement that you get on the left side. You get a guy that is daring with the ball, that uses a lot of the spaces right, that puts a beautiful ball into Jordan Morris that unfortunately doesn't end on a goal, but he put Jordan Morris face-to-face with the goalkeeper. So because of Pedro de la Vega factor, because this team, I feel like, is in dire need of a big-time win, and a Timbers team that, although more talented on the offensive end, and they are more talented on the offensive end with so many weapons, I do feel like between the injuries and the red card to Felipe Mora, I think Seattle will take this one. It is going to be a tough grind of a game, but I think Seattle will pull it off, a lot like the last time they were at Providence Park. So I do believe that Seattle will at least get the stink of this elimination, and they might put their frustrations into Portland, and perhaps they use that as a trampoline to just push them in the right direction. But I do give Seattle the benefit of the doubt on this one. And I do think that Phil Neville's had issues defensively, and maybe that's going to open up what hasn't worked for Seattle, which is offensive movements, which is the ability to really get behind opposing defenses. So I'll take Seattle in this one.
You might take the total too and play a little bit of over as well. All right.
Yeah, what's the total there?
All right. Well, hang on just a second. We will
Yeah,
get.
that's interesting. I mean, it might be that type of game.
Yeah, I'm thinking that that it might go sideways early on, and it might be one of those 4-4 redos that we're staring at, where because a team is coming in on short rest, because it's a rivalry game, because of everything that's at stake, maybe the over under would be something to look at. 2.5 a minus 163. Oh wow, they are expecting. Okay, 3.5 is a plus 150. 4 is a plus 267.
Oh, that's tough. Oof.
3.5 at plus 150.
Maybe, yeah. 3.5. We can do 3.5. Yeah, I think Seattle has some goals in them. I mean, you saw the Minnesota game where they really came back and they were going back and forth. And although Yeboah did a party back there and made Seattle look average in that one. I do believe that Seattle had that willingness to go. I think that on set pieces, they've really improved. Andy Rose has done a lot of work on set pieces, and that's a part of Seattle's game that needs to be on point. Albert Rusnak, regardless of last night's game, has really resurrected into being that guy that handles all aspects of that offense. So I think that Seattle, with everything that just happened, needs the win. They'll get that win. They're a proud group, and there's nothing better than beating Portland to get you right for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. You ain't kidding, brother. All right, hit the promo for me. What's going on? What do folks need to do?
All right. Well, I'm hoping to drop a big story on Raul at Sandra Hard. I will be at the training facilities today. So follow Pulso Sports. Last night, we had talked to Christian Roldan, talked to Brian Smetzer. If you want to hear what the protagonist had to say about a real frustrating game, we didn't get a lot. Brian was in no mood to talk. Alex was trying to talk, but Brian was really, really heated. So check that out. 2-3 minutes of each one of those personalities after the game, and then we'll give you everything that comes about in today's training session on Pulso Sports and Soccer Bar, of course.
Always, my friend. It's great to have you escaping the grips of airport traffic. It is so great to have you away from an airport where you're having to take that extra lap to get your timing right. It's like, okay, I've got to leave to circle back. Yeah, I'm coming out. I'm at baggage claim. I'm waiting, and you're like, man, I'm right there. So I've got to go around another time, and then you're like making another lap, and you're like you're in lane 3 away from the curb, and the people that are there, they finally come out the door, and you can't do anything about it. So you're either yelling out your window, "Come across," or "I'll meet you at the crosswalk," or something like that. And trust me, I've been there, brother. And the cell phone lot is overrated. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, I got a technique, man. I literally start at the very first bay, knowing that it'll take my family a certain amount of time to get to the international gate, because they can tell you to move, but they can tell you to move forward. But I stop way over here. I'm waving to people that don't know me as if they're going to go in my car. I'm opening the hatch, closing the hatch, moving to the next one, doing the exact same thing until I finally get the text, "We're at the door," and then I move forward. So
that's tremendous. That is it. Make sure that the car looks like it's having problems and that you got work to do. I love that. Get ready for Soccer Bar, my friend. Love you, and we will catch up with you next week.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, that's Niko, and he's probably on like his 9th cup of coffee, considering everything. All right, so let's get into where to watch things and what to watch today. Remember, the draw for Champions League is later today. Got to keep an eye on that. All the Saturday games are on season pass, with the exception of Toronto and DC, and the Sunday matchup with All Caps and LAG. That's on the free side of Apple TV and on Big FOX. So 2 matches on the free side of Apple TV, Toronto and DC on Saturday, and the simulcast match with All Caps and LAG. So those are the matchups. Everything else is on Apple TV. All right, so what other transfer stuff has come across while we've been talking? Ben Jacobs, once again, very, very busy man. Thomas Frank confirms Tony will not feature against Southampton. Brentford still not ruling out a sale. European window closes on Friday. Saudi Pro League shuts on September 2. So keep an eye on Ivan Toney's progress. Empoli confirmed Tino Angerin has joined from Chelsea on a 3-year deal. No fee, but Chelsea retain a 50% sell-on. That's interesting. No fee, but a 50% sell-on. Christian Fletcher, by the way, is undergoing a medical ahead of a move to Nottingham Forest, the youth national team product on loan from DC United. 1-year loan. Deal includes a purchase option. Excelled on a loan with Swansea City's U21s last year. And Stephen Goff, the first to report. So Nottingham Forest nearing a deal to sign U.S. Y&T forward Christian Fletcher on loan from DC United. Word out of Major League Soccer. MLS Next has announced the evolution of the pro player pathway. Say that 10 times fast. Key dates for the 24-25 season. Changes to field sizes in the U13 age group. So news out of MLS Next. Fifth season in program history next year. 753 teams, 151 clubs, 29 MLS academies, 122 MLS Next Elite academies, more than 16,000 players competing in age groups U13 to U19. So MLS Next has continued to evolve the pathway. MLS academies moving from the U15 and U17 age group designations to U16 and U18. All MLS academies will compete in the U19 age group. Rosters will be made up of U18 players and a limited number of overage players. Designed to improve the pathway, optimizing the transition. Evolution results from comprehensive analysis that they had with chief soccer officers, academy directors, and coaches inside the ecosystem of Major League Soccer. New pathway will create greater alignment by providing a higher level of competition for all MLS Next players prior to signing professionally, college, or pursuing other opportunities. The additional year, shifting U15 to U16, providing MLS clubs more opportunity to establish clear and effective development paths for each player. MLS teams will compete in the U19 group at MLS Next Fest, MLS Next Flex, and the MLS Next Cup playoffs and showcase. An additional 16 MLS Academy teams competing in U13, 14, 15, and 17. MLS Next adjusting field sizes for the U13, make the field less than 100 yards long. Field lengths now be between 86 and 96 yards, and the change will enhance, this is from the league, enhancing long-term development by introducing players to tighter space, creating situations that prioritize technical ability over physical attributes. And so, quote from MLS Next there. So they're going from 100 yards long to 86 to 96. So they're shortening the distances of the lengths in the U13 game. So keep an eye on that. Let's see. I think we have our referee assignments for this upcoming weekend in Major League Soccer, and we may end up looking at them again tomorrow as a part of Weekend Whip Around, just to get the idea of who is going where and what the assignments are. And that reminds me, I probably need to reach out to Pro and find out about the idea of referees and VAR. Is there a path to exclusively be a VAR? Is that where the older officials are being shepherded? Are they encouraging that so you have that kind of veteran leadership at the VAR position for younger referees who just want to be VAR? Alexis De Silva is the man in the middle for Charlotte and Atlanta. Corey Rockwell, your AR2. Guido Gonzalez Jr. is your fourth. Edvin Jurasevich is your VAR. John Freeman, no relation, at SC Cincinnati, CF Montreal. Sergei Boyko is the fourth. Soren Stoichka is your VAR. Ted Uncle gets crew and NYCFC. Matthew Rodman is your VAR. Red Bulls in Philadelphia, Jair Marufo. That's a good pickup. Jair Marufo is in the middle for Red Bulls in Philadelphia. Alejandro Mariscal is your VAR. Purple team in Nashville, Victor Rivas in the middle. Eunice Morakchi is your VAR. Toronto and DC United, Marcus de Oliveira in the middle. Jorge Gonzalez, your VAR. Austin and Vancouver, Mark Allerton is your referee. Rami Touchon is your fourth. David Barry, the VAR. Fire and Messi and Friends. Pierre-Luc Lozier in the middle. Catherine Nesbitt is your AR1. Izmir Pekbic is your fourth. Salvador Flores is your VAR. FC Dallas in Colorado. Rosendo Mendoza is your fourth. Ricardo Montero is the man in the middle. Kevin Stott's your VAR. RSL in New England. Fotis Bazakas is the man in the middle. Ismail Elfath is your VAR. That's an interesting position. LA and Houston. Armando Villarreal is in the middle. Yunus Morakchi doing the day-night doubleheader. VAR for that one. Portland and Seattle. Lucas Zapala in the middle. Mike Camp-Minert, who is an AVAR in an early match, is the VAR in this one. San Jose and Minnesota. Sergei Demyanchuk is the man in the middle. And Timothy Ford is your fourth. And Edvin Jurasevich is your VAR. Joe Dickerson is calling all caps in LAG. And Daniel Radford is your VAR on the weekend. So that's your ref assignments as we go. And I'm trying to see if there's any other pieces of information that I might have missed this morning that we have yet to get into. And I think we might have it all covered. So we'll go where to watch, what to watch, and how to watch it before we get out of here. And thanks for hanging out with us on a supersized Thursday. Had all the news in the Prem and had all the news overseas. Had our buddy Nino Torres from Gold TV. And Abby, who's watching, said that women die of heart disease the most. Most women don't know they're having a heart attack because they have different symptoms than men. And thanks for the clarification with that, Abby. Soccer on TV. The draw for the Champions League is a part of it. So 8 o'clock, CONCACAF Caribbean Cup on FS2, Cavalier and Police. Liga MX Femenil is on Fox Deportes at 11. Tigres and Necaxa. ESPN Plus has ESPN Plus has a doubleheader. La Liga, Girona Osasuna at 1, Las Palmas Real Madrid at 3:30. Conference League, Real Betis and Krivbas Kriviri at 2:20. Jägermeister Cup in League One tonight. Richmond, Spokane, Madison, and Union Omaha. Fox Soccer Plus has Saprissa Municipal at 8, Olympia Antigua at 10 in the Central American Cup. And they also have the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote at 2 o'clock. The Champions League draw is at noon on Golazo Network. So that was waiting to the bitter end to come up with that piece of information. So Champions League draw is at noon on Golazo Network. And so you can watch it there, and we can all see the 36 clubs and see if the Russians try to hack the system and see what happens there. But no, it's great to catch up with our buddies Nino and Niko and get you ready for everything going on in the weekend. Chelsea have agreed to do a £25 million sale of Lukaku to Napoli ahead of the Victor Osimhen chase. So you got that to hang on to as you go. So great to have everybody here. Morning, Abby. Morning, Harry. Morning, Fourcard. Morning, Sharif. Morning, Kefsi, who is traveling across the pond. Love it when you guys kind of want to hang out with us as you're getting ready for your travel across the pond. So tomorrow it is fairly normal. I think Jason's going to join us after 10:30 or in 10:30. Our friends from Beyond Goals, hopefully they can join us around 9:30. We'll catch up with what's going on with them. And we'll see if we can track down Jessica Charman, too, considering that Charlotte is on the board for tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. But it looks like Jason's going to join us at 10:30-ish, and we'll talk about Charlotte. We'll talk about Atlanta United. We'll talk about LAG. We'll also talk about the interview that he had with Garth and Demetrius Evstathiou about the front office and windows and philosophies and approach and all those kinds of things. So we'll talk to Jason about that as well. So it'll be cool to have Jason come on at 10:30-ish in and around practice to discuss what's going on with Atlanta United and the conversations that he gets to have and the conversations that we get to have with you every day. It's always great to be able to hang out with all of you and roll through what goes on here in the world of soccer here on the morning show on the SDH Network. Remember, once again, Sunday night, live from Fort Finley in Chattanooga FC and Atlanta United. Atlanta United 2, really turning into a must-win for the Twos if they're going to catch Chattanooga FC in the 8th spot. Kick at 7:03, so that means that pregame comes on at 6:30. It'll be Jason, it'll be Maddie, it'll be me. Sophia Cupertino will be up there taking pictures and doing stuff on social, and we're trying to get Jarrett to come up too. So it should be a big day, long day, and a fun day with Atlanta United 2 and Chattanooga FC. So busy day there. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. We'll be back in a little less than 22 and back at it again for a Friday morning show here on the SDH Network. So it's time for me to whistle us out and then just be ready for the reruns on all the social media channels, on the YouTubes and on the 280 character app, and on our app at Spreaker. Speaker with an R in the middle, unless you're an OG and you still have the old SDH app available to you. Go to Spreaker, download the app, search for Soccer Down Here. You can listen to all of our stuff, set your notifications for when we're live, set your notifications for when we've got the stuff on tape, and you'll know every single move we make here at the SDH Network. So time to whistle us out. We'll see you in a little less than 22.